What's up, YouTube? I'm Z, and this channel shows you the world through my lens. Okay, I thought I'd try something different. Those of you who have been on the channel with me for a long time, you know I talk about different aspects of my life. My main real job, outside of creating content on YouTube, is personal trainer, group trainer. I was head coach and manager at 2 gyms in Canada before we moved here to Dubai. And then right now I've been doing some personal training and group training during our transition period. But basically, this has been my profession for the last almost 8 years. It'll be 8 years at the end of this year. And I've been training myself for 17 years, something like that. I think 17 years. If I'm going to do more of these, I should probably get those facts more solidified so that they don't, change all over the place. But I thought this could be something fun. Maybe share some of my knowledge and expertise. A lot of us, I think, we look up to actors and we see them in like movie roles and we're like, oh my God, he looks so fit. He looks so jacked. I mean, for example, even despite my expertise, when I watched Man of Steel for the first time and I saw Henry Cavill, I was like, oh my God, I got to start working out my chest like 3 times a week. Like his chest, I mean, my chest is, quite big now, but I'm just saying, yeah. So I thought I'd check out this video. This is a compilation of different actors giving advice on diet and exercise, and kind of just, share my thoughts on what they're telling us to do. And help you guys maybe kind of separate the facts from the BS, if that makes sense. So looks like we got Christian Bale first. I'll switch screens here so you guys can see them better, and let's get into it.
I've never particularly been asked to do transformations, but you just get it in your head and you just go, I need to. That's what I need to do.
For about 3 months.
That's pretty crazy coming from him, considering he has some of the craziest transformations in Hollywood. Batman, Dark Knight, and what was the one where he got crazy skinny? Shoot, I don't remember the name of the movie, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Chris Evans?
So we trained in Boston, and it was a couple hours a day, and it was brutal. The tricky part was eating.
You have to eat lots?
Just eating everything all the time.
That sounds awful.
See, you think it sounds nice, but it's not just like cheeseburgers. I mean, you have to eat like these just bland, naked pieces of chicken and rice, and it's not that appetizing.
Right.
You just...
Now, first of all, 2 hours of training, not everybody needs to do 2 hours of training. You can get away with much less, especially if you're earlier in your fitness journey. 2 hours of training is very extreme. These actors are typically working on pretty tight timelines and schedules for when they need to be in shape, from when they get hired for a movie role to filming. The other thing about the eating is if you're trying to gain weight, and notice I'm saying weight, you could literally eat whatever you want. You could eat cheeseburgers and pizza and all that stuff. But knowing that if you're eating those higher fat content foods, you're going to gain a lot more fat. It's like, let me say it this way. You're going to gain more fat typically, but also like the calories just end up being much higher if you want to eat that amount of food. So the reason they try to eat healthy when they're bulking up is so that they can stay fairly lean, because most of the roles that they're trying to train for, they need to look lean. Does that make sense?
It's so full. It's a pretty uncomfortable feeling.
Eating is the key. 70% is eating.
It's about 4,000 calories a day, maybe 4.5 as I'm bulking up, and then it drops down as I'm leaning up. It drops down to about 3,500 calories.
Okay, I would need to know what his training looks like, because that sounds a little high for me considering his size. Just to give you guys an example, when I'm bulking, I'm eating like 4,000-ish calories. And when I'm cutting, I eat 3,000 calories. So at least the start of my cut. Right now I'm on 2,700 because I'm in the next phase of my cut. So I would need to know like what his activity level is for him to be that high on the caloric intake.
Not the fun calories. This is the chicken, fish, maybe steak, always protein 6 times a day. Protein, steamed vegetables, and occasionally some brown rice or something like that.
Yeah, so about stuff like that, I mean, a lot of these things are outdated and disproven. Like, you don't need to eat 6 times a day, but if the amount of food you're eating is hard to do in 3 bigger meals and you just need to simply spread it apart so that you can have more manageable size meals, for sure, eat 6 times, eat 10 times, whatever allows you to consume the amount of calories that you need to consume. As far as the things that he's eating, you don't need to be on a restrictive diet when you're eating 4,000 calories a day, because that's a lot of calories. You could eat other things. The reason people get selective with like the type of proteins, so lean proteins that they're eating, the type of carbs and how many carbs, the amount of fat, so not being able to eat cheeseburgers and stuff, that really kicks in when you're decreasing your calories, because at that point, if you only have, let's say, 2,000 calories to play with across a day, that's not a lot of food. And the healthier foods you eat, the more amount of food you can eat, so you feel more full. But when you're bulking and you're trying to eat 3,000 to 4,000 calories, which is a lot, you don't have to be so picky about things that you restrict and things that you allow yourself to eat.
Protein shakes, and just like that. No alcohol, no sugar, pretty much nothing that's fun.
Okay, did you start?
You can eat sugar. Again, it's about having balance. You can definitely eat sugar. You don't have to be that way. Alcohol is one that I also myself have cut out. My thing is more because it does hinder, it's a poison. It does hinder your muscle recovery and muscle building. So that's more the reason I cut it out. But then there's a benefit of also not consuming these extra calories. So double benefit.
To psychologically lose it?
What you eat is what you is.
Believe it or not, the hardest part was physically eating that amount of food. I had to put on about 17 pounds. It was crazy. I mean, aside from the training, which was literally, it consumed my life.
He got huge, by the way. So yeah, I mean, if you're doing that in a short period of time, consuming a lot of calories, they wanted him to stay probably as lean as possible. And again, a lot of like previous belief in terms of clean bulking was that you have to be super strict about what you're eating, what you're not eating. And then to gain that type of muscle mass, you're going to have to train hard.
For a while. Very intense, a lot of heavy lifting. I won't get into that, that's boring. The hardest part was eating, you know? You just have to eat a ton of calories. And it was all hard calories. It was a lot of chicken breasts.
You don't need to do chicken breast, by the way. You can do chicken thighs. And if you actually look at the breakdown, again, if you're in this situation where he's trying to bulk up, you don't need to do chicken breast. If you're trying to bulk up and you're getting this surplus of calories of 3,000, 4,000 calories, eat chicken thighs, eat red meat. It tastes way better. And you're still, like, you're trying to consume more calories. Guess what? Because they're slightly higher in fat, you can eat less of them. And you won't feel like this super challenge of, like, I have to eat so much food.
Eating so much chicken breast that the hardest part about it was actually chewing it all. So I would just put it into
Chewing
a
does get
blender,
old.
blend it all up, and just drink chicken. Isn't that gross?
Yeah, so that's disgusting. I know people who've done that. I will say from my own experience, as I'm going down in calories right now, 2,700, I'm dropping to 2,500 this week. For me, that is fairly restrictive, so I have to be more selective. I'm eating leaner meats, so I'm eating chicken most of the time. And when I'm eating 300 plus grams of chicken per meal, it's a lot of chewing. So I get that.
What's your diet like? You said you're eating chicken, but what specifically, like if you get up at 3 in the morning, what are you eating?
Egg whites, Ezekiel bread, almond butter, and then I'll work out. Then I'll have yogurt and Greek yogurt and a shake, and then I'll have a chicken cooking. Then I'll eat a rotisserie chicken. Then I'll eat turkey burgers. Then I'll eat a fish. I eat probably 7 or 8 meals a day, every 2.5 hours.
Because when you go on the diet.
Yeah. So about what Mark Wahlberg said, that 100% makes sense to me. These other guys were talking about bulking up and gaining weight. When you're trying to either maintain or stay at a low body fat percentage, you're gonna choose options like that are, leaner meats and less fat, rich foods, so that you can eat more food and feel full. Otherwise, you're gonna feel hungry all the time, because if you eat something that's super calorically dense or rich, then you don't get that much of it, and then you're gonna be hungry in like 30 minutes.
All right, as Superman, what does Superman eat?
He eats a lot of things.
Well, name one.
I mean, okay, it depends. If I'm mass building, then I'll eat burgers and stuff.
Mass building.
Yeah.
See, that's
If I'm
where
doing my
we're
mass
different.
game.
We're different people. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Mass building, that's what they call it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to get your arms bigger, so
Yeah,
in your
exactly.
chest. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, see, so that's a very accurate answer. You can, like, when you're bulking, you can eat whatever, as long as you're training hard to support the muscle building, and as long as your diet is still mostly protein, you can eat of a large variety of things.
But then when you...
It's transforming yourself is really not hard.
Okay.
It's just it requires consistency and dedication, and you have to be willing to sacrifice the things that you want. You have to trade things that are fun, like alcohol consumption, meals at restaurants, things like that, for long, arduous periods of time, exercising and physically exhausting and grueling work.
Oh gosh, I'm really sorry, guys. It's just, this is the only time I can record now, and there's always landscaping going on, so I'm really sorry. I won't be recording here forever. We're getting our own place soon, so it's coming. But the funniest thing about that to me is him saying that it's not that hard, and then listing all of these things that are pretty hard. I think what he rather should have said is it's not that complex, which would be more true. I think people make it more complicated than it needs to be. It can be simple, but the process of getting from that to that is hard because it requires all the things that he mentioned. I completely agree.
Anyone is. I was capable of doing it. I think anybody could do it if they wanted to. But unless you had to, I don't see why you would want to.
Your fans are saying Chris Pratt eats no fat. Is that true?
No, I eat plenty of fat. Yes. Chris Pratt eats no sugar. That is.
Who likes?
Again, we don't need to demonize sugar. You can definitely eat sugar as long as you're doing it in moderation. It's fitting your macros. It's fitting your calorie goals. You can eat sugar. I eat sugar every day.
Routine and discipline, weirdly.
I train by myself actually,
Wow,
and
okay.
that's not a pride thing. I just prefer it. I just like it more. I worked with a trainer named Don Saladino in New York who gave me a plan, and then I just do that plan on my own.
And then the diet?
Yeah, I do that. I've done it enough that I know how to do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
The workout.
Yeah, so some people definitely really like having trainers to tell them what to do, but my goal as a personal trainer and as a group trainer was always to educate people. I wanted them to learn how to do the movements, but I wanted them to learn why we're doing the movement and why we're doing it this way and why we're doing this many reps and why we do progressive overload, so that if they ever wanted to train without me, they were educated and capable. That was always my goal as a trainer, is always my goal as a trainer. And for some people, once you kind of have been set on the path, you can 100%, walk that path on your own.
That's probably more difficult than actual filming. It was my body doesn't sit naturally at that weight, so I was consuming many calories and protein, being the main one, and working out 6-7 days a week.
What do you do for cardio?
Did he say 6-7 hours?
Being the main one, and working out 6-7 days a week.
What do you do for cardio?
Maybe he's saying 6-7 hours a week, maybe.
Yeah. No cardio?
No, I run. That's a savory answer.
Yeah. So what is the real answer?
I think they get it.
Oh.
I think
it's a very long.
Yes. Jokes aside, the thing that he was implying is not a great way to burn calories. Most people, let's be honest, if we take averages and stuff, are not going to be doing enough. Definitely not to counteract any type of, calorie consumption that they're doing. But
Complicated process with a lot of knowledge required to achieve the thing. That's why we have our trainers who do all that and just tell us what to do and tell us what to eat. I would say, as far as a tip of the person who's being trained, is when it starts to hurt badly and you want to quit, that's really when you shouldn't quit.
Yeah, I think it's just about, the discipline of continuing to do something that you don't want to do and forcing yourself to show up and keep exercising. It's kind of that simple, it's not pleasant. It's, you feel like you would do it anymore, and that's when you have to keep going.
Yeah, I agree to some extent. I think this is very goal dependent, purpose dependent. So I always put it this way, the simpler your goal, the more simple your approach can be. The more you seek, like the more you want. So if you're like, I want to get bigger, I want to get stronger, I want more, I want to see abs, I want to see muscle separation, then you take the next step, I want to see striation if you're going into bodybuilding. The further you go into that, the more complex and more hard you have to train. So as far as that goes, like, I mean, maybe not everybody needs to do grueling workouts, but if you want to achieve the bodies that you see them show in the movies, yeah, you're going to have to work hard and it's going to hurt. And I 100% agree with what Ben Affleck said there. I mean, for me personally, I'll tell you, when I'm going to the gym, doing all of that, I will never skip it. I have to do it. It's a part of my health, my mental health, all of that stuff, my emotional health. But while I'm working out, make no mistake, I'm in the middle of a set and the conversations that are going on in my head is like, why the hell am I doing this? This is so hard that maybe I can just stop now. And it's just, no, you got to go till it feels like this and you just keep going. So I 100% agree with that.
I wake up at 3. I go down to the kitchen. I make egg whites, Ezekiel bread, almond butter with a little avocado.
Every morning?
Every morning. I go downstairs. I work out for about an hour with my buddy Jonathan. I come up. I have a shake. And then I make a salad and my food to go for the morning. And then I have turkey burgers and sweet potato. And then I go to the golf course at 6 o'clock. I play till 8 o'clock. Then I rush home to meet my wife after she drops off the kids. We have our little alone time. And then I do whatever else I got to do.
Wow.
And then I'm in bed by 7 and my wife thinks I'm an old, boring...
So you go to, that was, my question was, what time do you go to bed if you get up at 3? You go to bed at 7 every night?
I got to get 8 hours, yes.
So every day you eat that cleanly?
Yes.
And that's what so you don't have a chef, you do all your cooking yourself?
We have somebody cooks during the week for the kids, and they'll make me a little piece of fish or something at night, but he makes dinner.
Wow, you were really disciplined.
And yeah, I mean, and as I said about his previous thing too, do I think everybody needs to eat this way? No, not necessarily, but for him, maintaining his muscle mass, maintaining his body fat percentage, he's got this groove where it allows him to eat a certain amount of food, which is why he's making those healthier choices. Now, somebody else who wanted to do this but be a little bit more flexible, you could throw in things like a burger or like a night where you have a slice of pizza or something. Just know that when you sub those things in, you have to take away more of those healthier things because your total caloric intake will then, end up in a place where you don't want it to be. And you can do that fairly regularly and still be okay.
Also, I had to eat like a ton of food. So there were these pre-packaged meals from this company called Zen Foods out of LA, and they just put like 6,000 calories into containers and would just feed it to me all day.
Did you say 6,000 calories?
Up to 6,000 calories a day.
A day?
I remember.
That's a lot.
I remember the first day, I was in pretty good shape when I came into this movie. I was skinnier, but I was in good shape.
Right.
And I thought, I know what I'm doing here. He wanted to make sure that I left my ego at the door. So one of our first days of training, he was like, all right, 200 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and you're done. And then he just walked out. And I was left there to do 200 pull-ups.
How can you feel like...
That's okay. You can train like that. It's not the most efficient way to train. Because my question is like, what do those pull-ups or push-ups look like once you're past, 30 or 40 or 50, where you can do 50 really, really well, and then, do they still look really good at 100? Do they still look really good at 150? Do they still look really good at 200? And I've done workouts like these, and I can tell you from my own experience, they definitely don't. So there are more efficient ways to train. That's just like making somebody do a really hard workout. Maybe that was the trainer's goal, to like ego check him and say, you don't know how to work hard. But I will also say 6,000 calories seems very unrealistic to me. Their size, their height, there's no reason these guys need to be eating that amount of calories.
Like $1 million when you're in shape, when you're always exhausted. Like when you're always working out, you never feel what it's like to be, fully strong. I just always feel like, whoa, God, my chest feels like somebody like drove a truck over it. So what's the point? I don't know.
Now for the
yes.
stunt work, you have to be in top shape. And you are looking fine in this film.
Thank you.
So what do you do to stay in shape?
I work out pretty much every day. I've tried to change the routine. I'm always looking for new bodybuilding routines, and I have. So now I've got it down to like an hour a day, 5 times a week, but mostly it's all diet, what you eat. is what you is.
So I take it
What
you're
you eat is what you is.
not ordering pizzas for room service?
How'd you know? But you are, right? I caught you already. I knew it. Now, if you eat great, really great, Monday to Friday, from Saturday to Sunday, you can turn into the biggest hog in the universe, and you won't gain an ounce, and you get it all out of your system. So all you have to do is be good for like 4.5 days during the week.
I really want.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but take that with a grain of salt, because, for example, if you're let's say you're in a 500 calorie deficit through the week, so Monday through Friday, so that's 5 days. So you create a 2,500 calorie deficit. That's great, but if on the weekend you end up in a 2,500 calorie surplus, or let's say 3,500 calorie surplus, because you really go for it, like you're having burgers and fries, and then you gotta have dessert, and maybe go to the movies and get some popcorn, and when you're having popcorn, you gotta have a soda. Coke Zero is pretty good. You don't need to do the full calorie stuff. But if you're doing that, now instead of being in a place where you're in a deficit where you could lose weight, instead of being in a place where you're at homeostasis, so like level where you could maintain weight, you're now in a surplus where you're going to gain weight. So you can see how very easily that can get out of hand. I do a similar thing to this. I'm tracking 6 days of the week, 1 day of the week. I just don't track, but I'm still eating, like, if we eat burgers, I'm getting a burger and a fry. I'm not getting like a burger, a fry, and like some chicken strips, and then having dessert, and then doing this. Like, I choose what I'm going to have my kind of reckless meal on, if that makes sense.
Wanted to look the part. I was just like 10 meals a day plus the weight gainer and all this stuff. It was fun for like 2 weeks, because the first movie I did, I had to really kind of get thin. But after that, it was like, I know more.
So wait a minute. So what was the one food that you got totally tired of eating?
Chicken.
Chicken. Loads of chicken. Pounds and pounds. I would eat at least 2 rotisserie chickens a day myself. This is you.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm splitting this video up into 2 because it's a little bit longer. I didn't realize it was a 22-minute video when I clicked on it. So what we'll do is we'll do like a 2-parter. I'll record the second part to this tomorrow. But what I would say about that is rotisserie chicken is a fine choice. The only thing to keep in mind is obviously with the skin on, you can get pretty high in the fat intake, and any of these foods are fine that we've talked about, even the ones that these guys have said they don't eat. You can eat them. It's all about fitting them into your chosen calorie surplus or deficit, depending on your goals. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to gain weight? It just depends. Now, as long as it fits in there and you're generally hitting your macros, like, I'm trying to give you as flexible stuff as possible. Yes, to look like this, what you see on the screen, you got to be super strict. But I'll tell you the truth, most of us don't want to feel how it feels to look like this all the time. I mean, look at me. I've enjoyed like being in a bulked state because it's just easier and it's more fun. It's not fun when you get down to this point. So just keep that in mind. You can be flexible. You just want to make sure your diet has a higher protein intake than anything else. And try to keep your calories at whatever that, again, either surplus, maintenance, or deficit, depending on what you're trying to do. And you'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, I will say my first impression on the first bit of this video, or just less than half of this video, is that a lot of the stuff that is being said is a little bit outdated, and is a little bit specific to certain goals. And that's always going to be the case with fitness and diet advice. So be careful when you're getting fitness and diet advice. If you ask somebody for advice and the first thing they say to you isn't, well, what are your goals? Don't listen to that person, because somebody giving you fitness and diet advice without knowing what your goal is, they're full of shit. Excuse my language. If you guys are still here, I appreciate you spending your time with me. Hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.